Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. So, this video is going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. We're going to start the video with, so this was a 3-day weekend for me. I had today off, so Saturday, I spent the whole day out here, and Saturday was a good day. Saturday, I got all the 2-aught cables, battery cables. I got all the little quick disconnect Amphenol connectors on the 2-aught cables and got them connected and made all my runs. So I've got, and then once that was done, then I finished wiring or I extended the wires on my little switch for my steering shaft to turn the power steering on and off. Extended those wires, and I just did all the things in the engine bay that I think I needed to do while access was good, and that way I could get the front battery box in and bolted in, and hopefully never have to take this out again, because quite frankly it's terrifying putting this in here. This is almost 700 pounds and it's really heavy. And it's very expensive, and if it were to fall, first of all, it'd be hard to pick back up and get it out of where it did fall, and it would probably bend and break things that it landed on, and worst case, something could happen and a module could get punctured or whatever, and I could end up with a horrendous fire. So, terrifying, and I hope I never have to take this thing out again, and maybe I won't. Kind of a better to be lucky than good thing I may have hit on this earlier is, so whenever I made these little bolts that hold the side plates onto the side of the battery box, I just randomly picked 5 1/4 inches apart. This is 5 1/4 apart, and these two right here are not 5 1/4 apart, but the next two are, and so are the first two and the last two. 5 1/4. As it turns out, 5 1/4 is exactly what the bolt hole spacing is on these little coolant reservoirs. So, there you go. That's where they go now. And, I mean, you can see that, man, it just like, that's where it goes. And on this side, the battery box isn't quite in the middle. It's a little bit offset, but, so there's almost some interference here. What I can probably do is take this rod off and give it a little bit of love and kind of, put a little bend in there. Or I could probably just yank on it and bend it out of the way enough just so I can get a radiator cap on there. The radiator cap is basically just there to hold the plug. This whole coolant system is never going to be under the kind of pressure that a normal internal combustion engine radiator system would be under. So that's pretty awesome. One of my concerns was all these little bolts down here on the bottom that sort of hold the front down. That would I be able to get those in? And it turns out that yes, I could quite easily actually get those in. So that worked out good. Here are my BMS connections here on the side, my amp seal 35s, top and bottom. And you may kind of notice that on this one, I've only got half of the little, make it look pretty cover on it. That's because it won't go. If the whole thing's on there, it won't go. Now there's no fear of any wires touching anything, but there's a bit of space between this shell, this outer protective plastic shell, and the inside wires, and that's just too much. There's not enough room in there. So again, I got a little bit lucky. So that's cool. So anyway, that's a pretty exciting thing. Got all that in there. I'd show you all the wires and cables and stuff on the bottom, but they're kind of spread all over everywhere, and it wouldn't make very good video, and I'd probably end up accidentally turning the camera off. So then what else? I kind of tidy up in here because Saturday, that was Saturday. So Sunday, the plan was to start running the coolant lines to connect all these batteries together, and the coolant lines from where the drive unit will be to the charger / DC-DC controller. But here's my problem with that, and I gotta wait for some parts before I can do it. This is my coolant reservoir. Now, in my Ranger, what I had just to cool the inverter is it came from actually that that very reservoir there. So it came from the bottom of the reservoir, went into the pump, circulated around through the inverter, went into the went into the radiator, and then recycled back up into the top of the reservoir. And what happened is it made noise. So just by virtue of how high this plug is, the water just kind of cascades down there and just sloshes and makes noise, and it was annoying. You come to a stop sign and stuff, and you're sitting in your electric car, and you just got this sloshing water noise, and I didn't like it. So, and in this case, I'd have two of them, so I would like it twice as much. I would dislike it twice as much. So I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to have is just sort of a continuous loop of coolant line, and it'll just go from the batteries to the radiator, and then just straight back into the pump, and then get pumped through the system again. Now I'll have this coolant tanks on here more as a kind of as an expansion. So whenever the coolant does heat up and it expands, that expansion will have somewhere to go. So that'll work fine. So problem is right now everything's full of air, and I don't have a way to bleed that air out. So if I filled this thing up with coolant and it went down the line to the water pump, and the pump started pumping, it would pull water out of here, and then it would start circulating through everywhere. But on the back side, on the return side, is all of the air. Now, if I just had that continuous loop, the air couldn't get into this reservoir. So I need a way to open up that loop and pipe it up into here somewhere. Just somehow pump that air out until the whole system is actually full of coolant with no air in it, and then I can close that loop up, and it'll just continue to cycle. And it'll work fine. It'll be quiet, and then I can just come over here, and if I look in there and notice that the coolant level is low, then clearly there's a leak somewhere. That's quite obvious. But as long as the coolant level stays where it's at, then we got no leaks and there won't be any noise. So what I need to do is I need a valve. I need a three-way valve down at the bottom on the suction side of the pump between the radiator and this coolant reservoir. So that way I can switch this valve and it'll divert that return water or air up through that little side port there, and it'll bleed the system. And as soon as I'm sitting here watching this, and as soon as it stops taking on new water and stops spitting out air, then I'll know that the system is bled, and I can go down there and flip that bypass valve, and then just have then it'll just be a continuous loop, and I think that'll work. I don't know, but I ordered a couple of them, and we'll see. So the problem is I can't run any of my coolant lines until I have those valves, because I need to know where the valves are. And the valves will kind of dictate where the pumps go, and the pumps will dictate where the coolant lines go, et cetera, et cetera. So you got to kind of have everything, have all your ducks in the basket before you can, don't make any further progress. So that's what kind of got stuck. So I spent most of the day yesterday cleaning up the shop, cleaning up my garage. And as you can see by the floor, I did. And it's wonderful. I had tools spread everywhere. This place was just a disaster. There's all the, my coolant stuff that I just can't really get to until I get those parts. So today I was going to wire in my power steering system, the electric side of it. So if you remember, my idea was to have a little switch that switches on and off based on where the steering shaft is. Like a little micro switch in there that'll ride on the steering shaft, and when it hits a flat, the switch will either open or close. And then when it's on the not flat, it'll go to the opposite position. And then there'll be a speed sensor on the drive unit that will tell a rate RPM switch when when the drive unit is whenever the vehicle's at 10 miles an hour or more, or 12 or whatever, because above that speed, even with 31-inch tires, shouldn't really need power steering once you're rolling. It's just when you're in a parking lot or doing low speed maneuvers that you really need that power boost. So the theory goes that, so I'm sitting here and I turn the key on and the pump comes on. And I've got a little delay switch that would turn the pump off after, say, 5 or 10 seconds, whatever is less annoying. So it would turn the pump off, and then it pumps off. And then if I turn the steering wheel a little bit, it would reset that delay switch, and the pump would come back on for 5 seconds. And then when I'm driving down the road, once I'm above 10 miles an hour, then the RPM switch would just cut off all power to the pump at all. So the pump just wouldn't come on. So I could just drive down the road and not have the pump on, not draining the battery, and there you go. Problem with all that is the delay relay that I have is a delay on. So, or it's a delay off. There's no way I can explain this to make it make sense to you because I barely understand it in my own brain. Suffice to say, it doesn't work. The refresh time of that delay relay is too long, so that if it's running and I turn the steering shaft, then the micro switch cuts the power to that relay, and it kills my power steering. If the steering shaft happens to be in the right spot with the micro switch, the relay gets power and it stays on for like 10 seconds or so. But once I steer the wheel, it go into the flat spot, and it won't, the power steering pump won't kick back on because it's in the flat spot and there's no power to that relay. And then if I'm driving in a parking lot making a fast turn, that micro switch is turning on and off so fast that the delay switch doesn't get a chance to come on. So it just didn't work, and I wrote it down, and I made diagrams, and I tried all different kinds. This is kind of the diagram that I had at first. I tried all different kinds of ways, and man, I just couldn't. I couldn't make it work. I don't know how to do this. If anybody out there has any idea how to do this, all I need to turn the pump on is a ground. That's it. I just need a ground. And I can, so what I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm going to have the RPM switch in there for sure. And then I'll just have a switch on the dashboard. And, if, when I turn the car, turn the Jeep on, the pump will just be on. And if I happen to, end up in traffic or something, then I can just turn it off. And it'll be on long enough for me to get up to 10 miles an hour, which really shouldn't take very long. And, yeah, or if I'm wheeling, then I can just keep it on all the time, and I don't have to worry about it turning off at at an inopportune time. Yeah, so that's probably what I'll do. I'll just have a switch with a little light on it or something. I don't know, because I may not even be able to hear the pump running while I'm sitting in the thing, especially if I have the stereo that I plan on getting. But the RPM switch, here is, where is it? I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. Well, I was going to show you the RPM switch, but at the moment I don't know where it is. You know what? I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I spend almost as much time looking for something that I just had 20 minutes ago, but now I just can't seem to find as I do doing anything else. It's very, very annoying. I don't suspect I'm the only one doing that. I'll have a screwdriver in my hand. Oh, there's a better example. I'll be cleaning the floor. I'll be sweeping the floor, make a pile of dirt, and then what the hell did I do with my dustpan? Well, I don't know. So I need to walk around the shop and find my dustpan. 5 or 10 minutes later, oh, there's my dustpan. Oh, hell, what'd I do with the broom? Now I got to walk around the shop with the dustpan in my hand and find the broom, and then I find the broom, and But it happens all the time, and at the moment it's happened with that RPM switch, and it's usually right in front of my face. It doesn't even matter. This is off topic a lot. So I made a little bracket here, and I got my little pickup for the magnetic pickup for the RPM switch, and I went to work, and this is my stub shaft adapter, of course. This dude is hard. This guy is wicked hard. It's been hardened, and boy, oh boy. So these are just little neodymium magnets with little stickers on the back of them so that they don't fly off. But I wanted to countersink them because I don't have a whole lot of room between the drive unit and this thing. So I certainly didn't want these little magnets to hit anything. So I got them countersunk, and also if they're countersunk, maybe it's less likely that they'd get knocked off. You know, if they won't bump something. So I had to get a carbide tipped end mill on the mill, and boy, this is hard. This is real. Anyway. So here's my little bracket. Very simple. Just made a little bracket. You can see it painted black, and it rides kind of close to there, and it within a few thousandths of an inch of the magnets, and when the magnet goes past it, it sends a signal to the RPM switch, and it works. And I know it works because I took the stub shaft and I put it on my itty bitty tiny lathe over here and put that little magnetic pickup thing right here on the tiniest little quick release thing in the world, and had it all wired up, and it works like a champ. So that's very exciting. So that is that, and basically that's what I've been doing all day, is trying to figure out if this power steering thing is going to work, and it's just not going to. So I'll have those wires from the switch on the steering shaft. I'll have them routed into the cab. They'll just be there, just tied up somewhere. And I've got both wires, so I can either have a normally on or a normally off wire, signal from the drive shaft. But it just didn't work, and I'll just have a switch, and it'll be fine. Oh yeah, something else too. I got these little aluminum AN fittings, 8 AN fittings, and some tube that I just put a 1/2 inch hole through the middle of it, and the outside diameter of this is about 3/4. And then all I gotta do is just put a little rubber piece, and then that tube, now I've got an AN fitting that comes out of my drive unit, which is awesome. And then I just took a cheap little Chinese temperature switch. This particular one closes at 40 Celsius. I don't know, that's like it's about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That should be plenty, give me plenty of a safety margin for this drive unit overheating. And what that'll do is that'll just complete the circuit for the coolant fan on the radiator. So for whatever reason there's not enough airflow getting through that radiator, hopefully the fan will make there be enough coolant flow through the radiator. Yeah, we'll see how that works. And so that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. Pretty excited about having all my batteries in. They're all in right now, and I hope that I never have to take them out. And I ordered a carpet kit, so that's on the way. I started ordering stereo components, so they're on the way. You just got to kind of think of all this stuff as you're going along. But that's it for now. Longer video than normal, 18 minutes plus. So I do appreciate all the comments that I'm getting from people. I'm happy that you guys are watching it, and I've had a lot of encouraging words on Facebook and through the YouTubes. So I appreciate you watching, and tell your friends if you know anybody who might be interested in this crazy thing that I'm doing. Let them know and send them my way, and I'd be happy to help anybody with any problems that they have. So all right, until next time, thanks for watching.